Hello and Namaste. Welcome to our chapter 2 on the workshop on divine breath. This is going to be an interesting chapter because we're going to do and learn about some amazing facts on breath. Did you know that only by breathing you can control nature, you can control animals, and you can also control another human being? Well, many of us thought that, many husbands think that wives are not understandable, sometimes not under their control. But if you can control the breath, and if you know how to breathe in and breathe out, and how to sync that breathing with your wife's breathing, I can guarantee you can control her. Well, so let's learn a little bit more about this very interesting facts on breathing. Traditionally, it has always been thought that breathing cannot be controlled by our thing because it's controlled, the breathing center comes in something called your brainstem. Now, brainstem is a part of your brain that controls your heartbeat. So, meaning I cannot control how fast my heart will go or how slow. I cannot do it by my own will. Then sleeping patterns, they can also not be completely foregone. So I cannot decide not to sleep forever. There will be a time that in spite of all that I try, I will fall asleep doing whatever that I'm doing. There have been soldiers who fell asleep while in war because they had been sleep deprived for such a long time. They were killed because they just fell asleep while shooting. So this breathing also cannot be controlled by us. But then came a very interesting new research where scientists found that we cannot control whether I will breathe or not, but I can control how I will breathe. When they did this research, they came to a very interesting conclusion. They found out that our breathing, when we breathe in a certain way, so when a certain rhythm is followed, not only the brain stem, but the other organs of your, the parts of your brain also get stimulated. If I increase my rhythm in a certain way, a part of my brain is activated. If I bring my rhythm to a very slow rhythmic way, a certain other organ or the other part of my brain is activated. This made what we call a big breakthrough. They came to know that this is the reason why breathing is very important in certain therapies like behavioral therapies or cognitive therapy. But we in India always knew this. Our yogic system, our ancient texts have always told us that when you regulate your breath, you can regulate your body. We at least know about the body as in right now. So paying attention, not only attention but careful attention to how you breathe can give you a lot of different new avenues in your life. This ability of humans to control how we breathe is very unique to us. It has not been given to any other animal. A dog, for example, will breathe in a certain manner. If you take a dog for a walk, it breathes in a certain manner. If you run a dog, this breathing goes fast. When you rest him, it goes down. But that is the only thing that is in their hands. They cannot voluntarily slow their breath or they cannot voluntarily increase their breath. Neither can they have any control of how much time will they inhale and how much time will they exhale. On will. They do it according to how their physical activity is going. Or if you just suddenly startle a dog, then his breathing is changed. Only that much function is given to all the other animals in the whole world, in the whole universe. But human being is the only one that's given this ability to alter how we breathe in, alter how we breathe out, and also what time are we going to stop in between. Very, very big breakthrough. If we know this can alter our behavior, if this can alter our habits, if this can alter our physical abilities, then this is something we need to pay attention to. Let's go further. and see that in an average we take about, say, 16 breaths in a minute, which brings about 960 breaths in an hour. And if we calculate it to how many breaths it will do in a day, which will be around 23,040 breaths. 23,040 is a big number. Now let us take a notch higher and say how many breaths will you take in a year? Well, if my calculations are right, you could take around 84 lakhs 9,600 breaths in a year. Let us even take it further. An average person nowadays, with all the medical help and the lifestyle that we are, will live about 80 years. This will make your breathing come to around 67 crores 27 lakhs and 68,000 breaths in your whole lifetime. That's a huge amount. I mean, God has given you this huge bank account to explore, to take advantage from. But what do? We do nothing about it. We just breathe in and we just breathe out, and we are never aware of whatever is happening with the breath. So then it makes no difference between us and between a dog. It makes no difference between me and another animal, because they are not aware. Maybe if they are aware, they have no ability to change it. But in spite of having an ability, I do nothing about it. I am living a life of an animal. But I have been given this extraordinary life of this human being who can achieve so much. You have to be proud of being a human. Getting a birth as a human is a big thing. And 67 crore breaths, I mean, one breath can change your life, and you have crores of them. Let us see what happens when we practice pranayama. We all know that if we practice a certain breathing manner, if you sit down for a few minutes and if you just breathe slowly, just take a slow breath in and out, you will feel a little bit more relaxed. So now, if I would be able to bring my breath slowly down and slowly down to, say, 1 per minute. So if I practice this for 20 minutes, I am taking 20 breaths. So, and I'm not taking the more breaths, and I'm saving a lot of breaths, and I'm only taking these 20 breaths in those 20 minutes. Now that 20 minutes are increased in my lifetime. Just by 20 minutes, you take these 20 minutes extra in your lifetime. If you do this every day, how much more time will you have? Time may be not a big factor, but your quality of life will improve. You would not need that many medicines. You would not need the external help, and your body itself will become so powerful to handle these situations. So breath is very, very important to know how to take in and to know how to take out. Now, another interesting fact. Did you know that whatever you breathe in, so when you take a breath in, that maybe if there is a smell, good or bad, or if there is a way of breathing in, whatever information that breath is taking in, it takes just 7 seconds for your brain to recognize it. 7 seconds is a small amount of time for the breath going in and your brain recording and reacting in that way. This happens because your lungs and the alveoli is surrounded by so many blood capillaries. It's just connected to your brain so well. 7 seconds. So if we want our day to go good, for example, if you breathe a lovely rose in the morning, 7 seconds it goes into your system and you already feel refreshed. We have to pay attention to that. Right. Now let's go further. Now, did you know that ancient Egyptians, which means we're talking this about 5,000-year-old system of knowledge, states that they have in their tablets, in their stone art or the stone language, they have already mentioned, they have already a drawing full of a system of our respiratory organs. They have a trachea there, they have two parts, they have the lungs, so they knew about this breathing. They knew how to take care of it. They knew how to work with this breath. So if something that is so old is also concentrating on your breath, on your respiration, on your prana, on your chi, then we also need to do that. It's high time that we start taking breath seriously. Let's go further and check out for how long can you hold your breath. Right, just try. Just take a deep breath in and then just stop. Okay. Hold your breath. See how long you can go. Right, tell me. A minute and a half, 2 minutes. The world record is 20 minutes. So, there is something you can try, something that you have to work on, because a minute and a 20-minute is a huge gap. Another part, there were people who had such strong chests. I mean, my grandfather used to talk about this person when he was young. His dad used to take him to a circus. And there used to be this person called a strong man who used to lie down. There used to be a plank on his chest and an elephant could walk over it. A car or a truck would go over it and the person will not be squished. Why? Because they have this huge lung capacity where they will fill their lungs with breath and they can hold it. Their muscles of the rib cage, their diaphragm is so strong, it's not being squished by the weight, the enormous weight. If that is possible, if that is a feat that can be achieved, I do not recommend you to do it, but at least understand that it is possible. Understand that your breath can do a lot of things for you. Let's go even further. Now comes a very interesting part, which is called SHIV SARVODAYA. This is an ancient method taught by Lord Shiva on how to breathe. Why is it interesting? Because this is the science where he talks about how your breath, how regulating your breath, how breathing in, how that pause will happen, those different little nuances of breathing. How will they affect you in your daily life? He talks about how you can take control of your own body, of your own feelings, of your own thoughts. He also talks about how that breath can help you control another human being. This was a science actually being used 10,000 years before in India in wars. Did you know that when in ancient India there used to be a war, they used to blow these conches. There were special conches for each king, for each army commander, or things like that. We don't know about these conches a lot, but if you were from my generation and you have seen, there used to be this telecast of Ramayana and Mahabharata in television. Then we used to see that big conch Krishna is playing, and then the war happens and things like that. Now that conch, that blowing of the conch, and what kind of conch the king has and his ability to breathe through that conch used to decide who would win the war. Because of his capacity to breathe, they would realize what his life energy is, how much his immunity is, how much his life force will help him overcome the stresses of the war. This is what was used actually in our olden times. Let's take even further and understand how our breath was understood as this instrument called veena. Veena is a musical instrument played by Ma Saraswati. She's the giver of knowledge. Now the goddess who is responsible to give you knowledge plays this beautiful instrument called veena. Now we have also been given a unique veena. Our veena consists of only 3 strings: the Ida, the Pingala and the Sushumna, meaning our breath channel 1, the breath channel 2, and a centralized channel that when Ida and Pingala are balanced and they come together in this beautiful harmony. is when the sushumna develops and when you can achieve a lot of different things. Now, interesting, another fact. Each of us breathes in a unique way, meaning my system of taking in the breath and out and pausing naturally as whatever I do is different from you, is different from the third person. Every one of us breathes in a very unique pattern. In our ancient texts, it has been mentioned that these doctors, they used to check your nadi, meaning they used to check your pulse. In how your pulse is going, they used to make out how you're breathing. Depending on your pulse and your breathing, they used to make a mind map of what is happening in your body, a very unique to whatever is happening, the processes that your body is following. Depending on this process, they will tell you what disease or ailment you are going to have and what is going to cure it. So there was a time when each patient was given a shloka, a mantra, a word to recite. These shlokas used to be a part of a learning called chanda. Chanda is nothing but the measurement of breath. So how you will take or speak a shloka, on what word or syllable will you emphasize, how much will you breathe out there and how much will you breathe in, it will help you cure your disease. But with the going of time, we were not passed on this knowledge as it should have been. So what has happened now is we have lost this understanding of how breath can help you cure yourself and breath can help you cure others. The system is gone. Whatever was mentioned in Shiva Sarvodaya is no longer applicable today because we don't know that pattern. The gurus who used to teach that, the doctors who used to teach that are no more. But there is no need to be sad because if we are talking about chanda, meaning a meter meaning it has something to be recorded mathematically. It has to do with maths. Now, the gurus and the doctors are no more, but math still is. So we can take help of these mathematical formulas and know how much this breathe in and breathe out is happening so that we can take the most benefit of it. In the coming chapters, we will learn about how this breath affects us, affects our internal body, how it is connected to the outer external body, and how this harmony we can make so that we can get the most benefit on the physical, emotional and mental levels. Thank you.